Um, do you actually know where this is? It's kind of a any ideas? No? It's actually the financial district of New York. And I got into banking straight after university. I was fascinated by these opportunities, not about the buildings, but about the financial industry. And I started working for GE Capital, one of the biggest banks in the world, and I learned the American way of banking on the one hand. On the other hand, I was lucky to be part of Raiffeisenbank International. It was one of the biggest, it was actually one of the biggest companies in Eastern Europe. Later I was co-founding Fido Bank group entities and made a successful exit in 2017, 2018. And was inspired by the fact of how ICOs actually work. It was 2017, 2018, was quite fresh, and we actually all wondered, I guess you as well, how it's possible to get funding from a global crowd, how it's technically possible, and how it's even also from a regulatory perspective possible to raise funds from a global crowd. Okay. After the exit, I still had ambition. I still had ambition to continue my second career after banking as an entrepreneur. And with a couple of other fintech experts, entrepreneurs, we started to think of to tokenize a bank. It sounds a bit weird. It was weird. And in the end, we came up with actually a nice story, because we wanted to let every investor be their own bank, create their own bank, and use actually any kind of banking products with fiat currency and cryptocurrency. At that time, we were convinced that this case, this service, or our project could definitely redefine the industry's standard. Actually, it's not myself, but I think you see what's coming next, I guess. We have been very ambitious at the beginning, but we had not long after, we had an investor, an institutional investor. We had a bank, a target bank, and we started to work day and night to get our deal done. And guess what's coming next? Things started to become complicated. And in the end, we did not agree on terms with the investor. In the end, the bank had some poison pills we found out during the due diligence. And in the end, we didn't execute the deal. We actually failed, but didn't reach our targets. And looking back now, I think I was lucky. Why? Because I didn't know it then, but I had all the learnings actually to proceed with my next ideas. I kept still the love and the hopes with cryptocurrencies, and we actually started to ask the question why we need a bank, or better, why we need a banking license. And in the meanwhile, we observed that even also other type of companies entered the market much faster and much more dynamically as compared to a straightforward bank. And crypto at that time actually was already and is for us certainly the proof of concept of the blockchain, globally available, transacting 24/7 for the financial service industry. Having analyzed all that, I started to assemble, not that big like here, a small project team. We got additional funding, and our plan was to continue our work and to focus on digital securities. Soon we realized that actually we do need financial licenses from the finance world, let's call it the old world. And on the other hand, we also realized and understood when it comes to technical systems, these require to follow the new world rules of the blockchain. The regulation, at least from our perspective, had to come, and the increasing interest in security tokens or digital securities moved us to apply for the necessary licenses to run a marketplace, a platform for digital securities. We started applying for that about 2 years ago in Austria for an investment firm license for a VASP and the ECSB. Right now, actually in February 2022, 1 year ago, we received the investment firm license, which is the basis, the prerequisite for operating our digital security platform. So after 2 years of hard work and with the regulator, it is certainly hard work in a positive way. We could actually offer the issuing and the buying, selling, and enabling also the custody for digital securities. Early days, we are not working like that anymore, but it started like that. And for us, from the beginning, regulation was one of the cornerstones of our endeavor. And you certainly won't hear that from IT companies, IT startups, which is certainly fair enough to mention. Regulation has its benefits, and it's simply for us protecting the customer funds, and eventually it could be your funds are gone in an FTX default or any other kind of defaults, what we have seen recently. And when we started in 2021, we always envisioned to do a DLT TSS, so the transaction clearing and settlement on the blockchain in a DLT pilot regime. Early on, we communicated that to the regulator, our vision of trading of digital securities in a multilateral environment with an instant clearing and settlement on the blockchain. Our business, certainly it was not usual, or our application was not as usual as a typical application with the regulator to approve. So we actually had to convince the regulator, and certainly due to the fact that we had, I think 2 years ago, the sandbox initiated from the Austrian Financial Market Authority, we have been using that in order to explain this new world, blockchain, Ethereum, etc. And in the end, for us, the regulator was a sparring partner helping us or challenging even us to get all the necessary processes and procedures in place to run a compliant platform, a compliant business. At conferences, we always hear different directions. I just want to mention a few because I think it's totally important. As we see, there are a few models way going forward, coexisting, and certainly also targeting and fulfilling the customer needs. The first one is centralized and decentralized. Certainly what we have seen in the last couple of months, trust is a killer argument, or at least a heavy argument for the one or the other. We have self-custody versus hosted custody. Again, trust is a vital element, a fundamental argument for offering your service to the customer. You have the public chains and the permission chains, even also the wrapping. I do see that more as a agnostic and specific approach when it comes to different blockchains out there. Finally, it's bilateral or multilateral trading model, a peer-to-peer or a multilateral trading. In fact, each model has its time, and any new market, kind of new exchange marketplace, are not starting from the beginning with an automated matching engine. Trust, for us, trust is also very important. It's not just a word, it's even more. And I guess we have seen this in the recent developments in the industry. Philip Santner just mentioned. We need to offer trust in what we do, customer choice in what we offer, and the technical deployment in a compliant way is actually what we have put as Assetera DNA. The environment, as you can see here, it's kind of changing, not for him at the moment, but I do see a lot of dynamic movements in the market. It's not a settled environment. And for me, at least, I wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. and immediately start thinking how we actually can overcome hurdles, what are the options, what's the implementation need, what is the competition doing, and how to build a market in a regulated environment. Okay. I have 5 more minutes, yeah? Is this the 5? Okay. In Assetera, or let me actually say this, make this point here. What we see as a way going forward, Philip Santner has mentioned it, tokenization is the future of markets and securities on the one hand, and the trust between the seller and buyer can change the ecosystem forever. We in Assetera, we run a multi-generation plan. We started with the peer-to-peer trading platform right now, and we are enriching our operation with the DLT market infrastructure, clearing and settlement on the blockchain as soon as it's available. Launching. Fortunately, also Philip Santner mentioned, we have MiFID on the one hand, we have MiCA, we have a DLT in place, it's coming into force. And currently we see some workarounds in different countries. However, in the end, collaboration is more important than competition as we seek. Assetera, in issuing digital securities, we work with companies in different industry segments. On the one hand, industry, ESG, real estate, IT companies. We also do have cooperation with a lot of tokenization companies in Europe in order to offer these customers or their customers the value chain from tokenization, from prime market sale to the secondary marketplace. The investor on our platform has a direct access to the forum. Without intermediaries, he can purchase, buy, sell, and also get enabled the digital securities. That's an important slide, and it comes back to what was mentioned earlier, Siemens. And it's thankful to Siemens and the cooperation and the support with Hauck Aufhäuser. They have issued the first digital security on the blockchain. I think that's a milestone, and a lot of industries and companies are thinking of what's going next and how can they actually use these certain benefits. What are the benefits for? And Siemens nicely said it's basically and apparently the blockchain benefits of being cheaper, faster, and more efficient. So how we are going to build a market? Liquidity is key, but even more important is the supply. By starting building a market, we also have seen that in the past, and you see here 1439, the first stock exchange in Brügge. They also started with the trading of commodities, and soon after they defined and designed the financial instrument being then also traded on the exchange. What we offer to companies, partners to list on our platform, A, B, for infrastructure institutional clients to connect to our platform with the trading API, and also for the industry leaders, we have the opportunity to use a white label software, not only technology, also the license umbrella. For tomorrow, very quickly, we started to get liquidity providers onboarded, and you also see the scale right now in the standardization of product templates, meaning how an issuer can actually get very easily a prospectus or other things needed for being actually approved by the regulator to sell the service. I have 1 more minute, and certainly that's important. Team is critical. Why? always important, but it's such a diverse team in a complex environment. It's not IT only, it's much more, and it's a business, it's a new industry, it's an exciting industry, and you have different capabilities in getting forward. I'll leave you with the quote of Peter Drucker and my 4 predictions for 2025. We will see much more efficiency in the capital markets, that's 1. We will see shortened value chains, it's number 2. Number 3, also we see the improved cost for investors as well as the access. And last but not least, I think most important is the customer choice in each kind of business model, what we saw earlier, we are going to offer. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to being connected during the conference. Thank you very much.